Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We're taking a quick look at a crypto market update overview, more specifically towards that of meme coins here today. We're going to talk about this Altseason index and how strong it is this week versus last week, and just touch on some fundamental stuff. But furthermore too as well, just make sure we understand the charts here for Pengu. We got some pretty significant breakout potential there. Same thing with BONK as well, heavy liquidation below the price. And we're going to take a look at Dogecoin too. But more importantly, I think WIF hat is one I've got my eyes set on, of course, just being a partial favorite to that one. Let's go ahead and start with some news here. This is compliments of Mr. Anderson in my community there. It's one of my admins over on Discord. We do have a JP Speak, or JP Speaks tomorrow, rather, on Tuesday. There's a lot of speculation. We've heard about him getting canned, which I don't think is very legitimate, but who knows, honestly. That could send things into a unique transition there. But either way, we got home sales on Wednesday, PMI on Thursday, and generally speaking, 15% of S&P is reporting earnings this week, so it's a pretty big deal. Just keep in mind, we're going to see some volatility. Big surprise, right? No surprise there on that. Let's jump over to our altcoin season index just to touch on this here. If you're not familiar with this, a lot of meme coins, including the ones we're going to cover here today, are at the top of these charts here. Pengu number one, or you could say Penguin. Sorry, I like to say Pengu for some reason. WIF hat, BONK, they're all here as like the top 10 effectively. So we're not covering that because of it. These are the top requested coins that I have that are meme coins that my community consistently asks about. But the key takeaway here is as Bitcoin continues to drop in performance, altcoins are continuing to excel, and with altcoin market cap increasing to what is it, almost 1.6 trillion. That's a pretty significant margin, letting us know that alt season is on the horizon, okay? And meme coins too definitely factor in. As you can tell, they're one of the top 10 here. Majority of these coins here are gonna be top 10. So let's go ahead and, without further ado, let's go ahead and double check some important things here. First of all, with the back-end liquidation data on WIF hat. So with WIF hat, this coin is looking pretty strong, but we don't want to be super crazy bullish because we want to recognize key level supports the price pulls back. First of all, 120 is that lower bottom, that local low, because we're working ourselves in the range between 120 and 130. Likely a new cup and handle pattern forming, but 120 is that area of open interest. Outside of that, 110 is that next heavy concentration. We see 110 for this coin. I'm going to be happy to consider a long position in that range. I barely missed our entry in the 99-cent range just a few days ago, as a matter of fact. If we look here, liquidation long delta is high, which implies sustainability, less likelihood of pullback, and of course, open interest. Correction, this is liquidation delta or liquidation itself. 140 to 135 is that upper range. Keep in mind 140 is a local high, and that was a previous low. So there's a good chance that we do see that area retested here soon. So 140 would be the next target. If we take a look at the daily time frame, we're above all moving averages. Things are looking pretty solid here. Our point of control, basically our golden pocket, is right there at 110 to 115, just right in that range. That's our next area of support. So just keep in mind we got some nice support in this range. So I'll go ahead and update our playout chart and post that on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. But generally speaking, that's a good solid consideration for a long. When we look here, we got multiple stochastic swings to the upside. They do eventually fizzle out. And with us not breaking through 70 in the RSI, we're probably likely to maintain this range and leg up later. I don't think we're going to see that leg up happen right away unless Bitcoin runs back towards 120. Now keep in mind, Bitcoin has been ranging 116 to 120 consistently, and we're in that lower range of mid to lower range of 116 roughly. So that does help us understand that we may be at our tentative bottom for Bitcoin, and that alts and memes are going to start running back here to the upside. It's a good chance we could see that, because every time Bitcoin pulls back, alts just pull back very little and move up a lot faster than Bitcoin. Overall, nothing much here to note on the daily time frame. There's no like hidden bullish or bearish divergences. The thing I would just recognize is that 140 is that key level resistance for us here locally, and that we may see a strong break above that, with this being a kind of a cup and handle type of pattern. We may even see a secondary cup and handle here where the price action will flag out if we're lucky here. So we may actually see something along those lines. We'll talk about that later, or keep an eye on that. Let's move on to Dogecoin and kind of talk a little bit here about breaking its local high, which is this 26 cent range. Now, when we look at the back-end liquidation data here for Dogecoin, we can see 26 cents is that heavy concentration of open interest. That's a good sign. That reinforces support. We see 26 cents again. That'd be a solid place for long. We take a look at liquidation long delta. We're at 2 billion. This implies you don't want to short against this. And once more, we got heavy liquidation between 24 and 25 cents. So if we get lucky to see 24 cents, that'd be a perfect place to get in after that liquidity sweep there to the downside. But just know we're going to see some pressure, some buying pressure between 26 and 25 cents. So those are two solid areas there. But just note we got the heavy liquidation, so the price pulls back. That'd be a solid place to consider a long. So Dogecoin overall looking pretty solid. There's not much else to really note here. There's nothing that's hidden or amazing here as well. We're up over 70 in the RSI, and the common rule of thumb here is to not short against it. Now, do you just take a long willy-nilly at this point? It's difficult to recommend that because I would love to be able to see a lower price point, but I commonly recommend waiting just because it's best practice, and oftentimes those levels don't get hit, specifically lately. So average into your position on the way down if you insist on trading this coin, but there is no doubt that we have massive overextensions here. On our second leg up here, we're already 6 days of continuation higher. While we could see a 9 or a 12 in a lot of cases, this just feels very, very difficult to want to take a long. The key takeaway, though, is that we have a significant amount of volume. You never short against that, and you generally want to go with the grain, and that is going up right now. So technically speaking, a long is much more recommended than a short. That's Dogecoin for you. Let's take a look here at BONK and go ahead and jump on the back-end data first and recognize where we're at here initially. Okay, now starting point, we're at about 35. Let's see here, let me go ahead and update this here, put that as a 10. We're looking at 3,500 is a rough estimate. That's that point of control here locally. So if we close below that here today, there's a decent chance we may see continuation lower. This coin is starting to show signs of overextension and being unable to break through its local high. All that being said, we're below that point of control, reinforcing resistance. We have a lot of liquidation on the downside, implying that we have further continuation potential to the downside. And if we do take a look here at, the liquidation, let's go ahead and kind of change this a little bit. There's still a ton of liquidation between 3,100 and 2,600. I'm not proposing we're going to see that specifically, but that does incentivize the price to go lower. So once more, that liquidation is highlighted on the charts. If we do go really low, 2,400 would be an awesome place to dollar cost average. That's the previous high that should work as a new low if we see that. It's also close to our 0.618 point of control, golden pocket, that really nice area of support. So we're likely to see some support there if that were to happen. Overall, not a bad situation here for BONK, but it's hard to warrant a long position at this point just based on some lower time frame divergences in the back end as well. But technically speaking, from a daily time frame, this is a situation where you should have taken profits on your long position. And there's no doubt about it. Money flow index is super high. There's a good chance this coin will go higher. I'm not proposing you short against it. I'm just saying that in general, it may not be as beneficial as taking along with other coins. That's the concept there. 4-hour time frame, also reflecting the same thing here. We're maintaining above all moving averages, still in good shape with our ascending trend. But once more, difficult to say, good to go, green light to take along here. I would recommend waiting just a little bit longer if the price action does work its way down. I'm also seeing here somewhat of a bear flag pattern too. This is usually not a good sign because generally speaking, it derived from the upside, more likely to break down. Okay, it may be a short-term correction, but I think a little bit more downside makes sense on this coin. All right, let's move on to Pengu or Penguin, however you want to call it. It is doing fantastically well. This is one of the coins here recently that I shorted and had to close early because it basically invalidated quickly. And this is a coin that has tremendously high volume. So the benefit of taking a trade of this coin is that it's more likely to go up than down, but it's also extremely volatile. As you can see, it'll spike up and spike down and quickly correct itself. So just know it's a high risk trade when you take a trade with this coin. We can see a lot of open interest at 31 to 33. That's a pretty solid area of consideration if we were to see that again. For a long, liquidation delta is at break even, implying we may see a shift in momentum here. And of course, if we look here at 3,500 roughly, or 3.5 rather, that is looking like a little bit of liquidation just below the price, but that's our local high. It's common for the price to pivot and bounce off that level. So let's look at the chart here quickly and recognize we're honoring our ascending trend. When we look at our RSI, it's well over 70. You don't want to short against this. And generally speaking, if you're in a profitable position, you wait to secure profits until RSI comes back below 70. So I teach that in my trading university and all sorts of other platforms. It's always been a good thing to consider because the RSI is just kind of a very helpful tool to give us the understanding of when things are overbought and oversold. And even though we're overbought right now, people are still buying. And even though the price could pull back a bit further, we got to wait for that due diligence, that RSI to taper off. Other than that, not much else to really note. If we get lucky with a liquidation sweep down as low as this 2.6, 2.7 range, that would be a good consideration. We have a 0.5 fib level at 2,600. A little bit of confluence there, but overall, this coin is definitely something you want to go in the direction of the trend here. The trend is still up, but I do feel like we may see a short-term correction for altcoins and meme coins. So just be mindful of the fact that we're starting to see like a little bit of a plateau in some ways. So just be aware of that. But at this point here, this coin is looking fantastic. What else is fantastic too is our links down below for BitUnix. These guys are phenomenal, folks. Be sure to use my link to register. Main reason why is because they offer a phenomenal deposit reward bonuses. Next month is a deposit reward, but this month we're splitting $10,000 prize pool through our community there. So it's awesome stuff. That is available for you. If you ever use my link to register, you'll always be eligible for future benefits, and those happen monthly. Okay. So no KYC or VPN. That's the reason why we use them, specifically for my US and Canadian members. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Join us on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you haven't yet already. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.